Okay, we have our favorite stock of the year popping up here on earnings. We're going to talk about the $400,000 trade. Do you have what it takes to make $1 million on a single trade? What goes through a trader's mind when he has gone through it? Very simply, how we've traded a Netflix bottom, how it was real easy to call, how to clear your mind for tomorrow, and I have a really nice story with you guys to share our game plan in Forex trades, and of course, our full stock analysis. This is the Newsbeat Show. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newsbeat Show. And I'm going to see if you have what it takes to make a $400,000 trade, and if you have what it takes to actually make $1 million on a trade. So we're going to talk, of course, about SailPoint Technologies. And if you members are in the room, the hundreds of you guys in the room, you obviously know why we're talking about Sail. If you're watching the Newsbeat Show for a while, you also know exactly why we're talking about Sail. And if you're rather new to the Newsbeat Show, you probably have no idea why we're talking about Sail. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to share with you guys the type of call we made in Sail. And do you have what it takes to hold here or make, the potential $1 million+ trade? So pretty much at the beginning of the year, I send out a report to everyone in my room. I call it the Melnick Report. Very genius, clever, very unique name, very out there, very creative. But with that being said, we did share our favorite stock, and our favorite stock of 2018, which we released this report at the end of December of last year, was Sail, SAIL. And basically the current price was 14 and a half. I thought the stock was going to go to $30 and then $45. And I basically named it my favorite of the internet security names. I chose Symantec last year, which actually worked out brilliantly. But I said I feel this one will have a lot more value as I can see the stock going over $100 in 5 years. So I really gave 3 price targets on it. And I talked about a customer retention rate that is really second to none. I've never seen it in the industry before. Pretty much, if you sign up for them as a to be a client, you're pretty much a client for life. And I think that was really those words were really well reflected in the earnings. So I do want to go over the earnings report and give my 2 cents on it. Compared to all the analysts out there, I definitely have more bullish of a rating on Sail. If you remember, the last one I did before was Stitch Fix, and I put a $30 target. That was a street high on SFIX, and it actually hit $30, $30.07. That was a perfect trade there in SFIX. But going back to Sail, I just wanted to do a little bit of analysis on the earnings. So looking at Sail here, they announced 17 cents a share versus the 8 cents expected. So right there, what does that tell you? That Wall Street has absolutely no clue what customer retention is. And the analysts covering these stocks obviously needed to be watching the Newsbeat Show or following us in the room if they really wanted to get a good idea of where this is going. So the analysts thought this stock was going to make 8 cents a share. Whoops, you're wrong. It's 17 cents. Let me tell you why that's important. Not only because the obvious numbers where they blew out analyst consensus by over 100%, they blasted it through the water. They basically earned 67.8 million versus the 55.5 million expected. They see full year 18 adjusted 4 to 6 cents versus the 3 expected. I think they're being very modest on their 4-cent projection. I will tell you, I know the company released this. I will tell you, I don't think they're wrong. If you say 4 to 6, that's a very large range. I think it's going to be closer to 6 or 7. I think they're being extremely modest. Their adjusted earnings per share was a loss of 3 to 4 cents versus the loss of 6 cents. So they basically beat across the board. And you basically saw SailPoint just explode after hours. It printed $20. I know someone in our room sold 1999. I was just on the phone with him. But I want to say why these numbers are important. Not because it's not a one and done. It's not a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Look, we have a blowout quarter. This is it. No, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I talked about the customer retention rate. You got to read my words here a little more seriously than the analysts from this point. I'm not smarter than all of them on every stock. I admit that. They're better than me on a lot of them, but they're not better than me on this one. And I'm going to tell you why they are modest, why this means a lot. If you could read this key line here, they have a customer retention rate that is second to none. They're keeping over 95% of their clients. So, with the numbers you saw, if 95% of the clients are being kept, guess what? They have to keep paying these monthly fees to use this security system. I talked to several analysts in the industry. I talked to heads of large firms, large banks, and they're all using this technology. And they basically says nothing out there beats it. Like they're basically integrating it into all their systems. That's just word of mouth, but the earnings are proving that that is the general consensus of this stock. So if you're retaining all these customers, it's not like, for example, like the perfect example is Blue Apron. Everybody knows somebody who's tried one of the box products before. And what a box stock is, it's basically a stock that when you buy something, they send you a cardboard box, whether it's Zappos, Amazon being the most famous one, Stitch Fix, Blue Apron. There's so many things that come with cute little cardboard boxes in the mail. And basically, the problem is people buy them, they sign up for it, they try it out, and then they cancel. And then what happens is you see the earnings look good, and then they flood down through the floor. And that's why you have, for example, a company like Apron, who isn't going to retain the majority of their clients, look like this. The biggest mistake that Blue Apron made is they assume that people like to cook. Cooking requires work. I am, to put modestly, a phenomenal chef. I've worked for the Zagat survey, and that's going to come to my story tonight. I have a really brilliant story for you guys. I used to work for the Zagat survey, and I used to rank all these restaurants based on food, decor, service, and whatnot. And I love to cook, but the bottom line is most people prefer takeout. And it's not because the takeout food is so much better than what they could do. Usually it is, but it's not because it's so much better. It's because it delivers it right to your door. And you put in no effort to actually eat the food. You click a few buttons, you give a credit card, and the food is at your door. Blue Apron, where they misjudged why I never liked this company, is because you think that people want to break out their chef mitts and start cooking. Like, yeah, maybe in the 1950s, maybe in the 1960s, that was a cool thing. And yes, you'll always tell me, all you guys will tell me about your mother or your grandmother, God bless you if you still have one around today, who loves to cook and loves to do everything. Unfortunately, the cooking is a dying breed. I mean, if you go to school as a chef, you don't do it to take care of your family. You do it to cook for other people at a restaurant who don't want to cook. That's why you become a cook. That's why you go to culinary school, is to help people who don't ever want to cook. So with that being said, going right back to sale, they're going to retain these numbers and they're going to grow. I think Sale got their estimates completely wrong. I completely disagree with the company's estimates. I think they know about it. I don't think they're stupid enough that they don't realize what's happening. But with the Sale estimates, I think they'd rather be one of those people who underpromise and overdeliver. The fact that Wall Street got it so wrong. I mean, we've seen stocks explode that report 9 cents a share versus the 8 expected. And people are like, ooh, Wall Street got this one wrong. Or they say 10 cents a share versus the 8 expected. Oh my God. I've seen stocks gap up 10%. on things like that. But here you have a stock that announced 17 cents a share versus the 8 expected. No analyst was remotely close. Of course, with the exception of us. With that being said, I want to talk to you about a simple question here. Do you have what it takes to make a $1 million trade? Do you have what it takes to make a $1 million trade? So, this is obviously like my heaviest position, and I'm holding a ton of sale shares, and I watched my stock sell higher, pun intended. And just excuse the raspiness of my voice. I'm getting over a flu right now. But with this SAIL, I'm not looking to sell a single share. And I want to discuss that with you. You know, for me personally, I think we'll have up and down moves. It's hard to say where it will go from here on out. I think it's going to $30. But here's the thing. When you have $400,000 in profits looking at you in the face, when do you decide that you should hold it all or peel off some or sell it all and just lock in a massive gain? So I wanted to talk a little bit about that psychology. So pretty much on sale point here, I pretty much have an average price of a little under 15. It's like 1470s in my average price, and now the stock is up. If it opens up by $20 or whatever tomorrow, I'm pretty much up at least 5 points currently on this trade. So I guess that really gives you a good idea of how many shares I have. But when you have if you have a $400,000 trade looking you in the face, and I'm sitting here talking about a $30 price target, I want to explain to you my feelings right now. My first feeling is dump this crap tomorrow, get rid of it all. Just dump it. Drop it all. It's not a trade. It's enough money where I could do such wonderful things for the planet. I could give a huge chunk to charity. I could do so many good things with this money right now today if I sell out of this position. Good things for myself and for the world, right? And then another part of me is saying, you know what? I think it's going to $30. And if that happens, I'll be up over $1 million on it. Here is my personal experience. When you get into a trade for fundamental reasons, meaning you don't really care what the chart looks like, that is the least of your concerns. That was sort of my point with Sale Point. By the way, I had this $30 target on it before the day it IPO'd back in November 17th. The day it was IPOing in the pre-market, we talked about this stock and that I was going to swing it. It was a company that I did my research and due diligence on ahead of time. There was another stock I also said that day was going to have a $30 target. And of course, that again was Stitch Fix. That also IPO'd the same exact day on November 17th. What a coincidence that I had two stocks that I thought were going to $30 off of the IPO day. One of them got there, one of them didn't. The one that didn't is Sale Point, which will be opening up at all-time highs tomorrow. So, looking at Sale Point here is what I have learned. I was stuck in this similar situation when I was in Stitch Fix, when I was very heavy, at least heavy for me at 50,000 shares. And I made just an absolute killing on this name. And I watched the stock literally do this. So it literally shot up to 24.89, and I didn't sell any shares, and then I watched it drop to 19.07. So pretty much dropped almost $6. Almost $6. Now when you watch a stock drop $6 and you watch your open P&L drop $300,000, it's a very dejected feeling. It really is. However, I managed to overcome that feeling, watch the stock bounce up in the 24 range, fall right back down to 20 and a half, and a few days later shoot right through $30. And through all that, what if aggravation, the pain of actually sitting there and holding a stock like that, this was one of the scenarios in which I was able to overcome. I will admit I am usually not the trader who can do that. I am usually not the trader who can do that. So because I did it successfully with Stitch Fix, I have no reason to not do it in sale. What these two stocks really share similarly for me is that they were both based on fundamental values. So if you're looking at a chart and you buy something, you buy a stock because you like the chart, I think it's very easy to be unemotional and throw away your shares for a profit or a loss or a break even. But when you're holding a stock fundamentally, if I were to sell all my shares for $20 tomorrow, the majority of people out there would say, "Wow, what a great trademark." But if this stock went to $30, I'd feel like the biggest putz on the planet. And that is why I'm going to tap into my inner strength and try to hold it. Obviously, I know just about every other person in the room is long here. We have some of the hedge funds and money managers who are up a lot more money than me. A lot of them want to, they're probably going to take me out to dinner and whatnot, but do nice things for me. But basically, basically at this point, I just want to share with you guys my feelings on the stock going to $30. I do not feel the fundamentals weaken from here. I cannot tell you, though, it's stupid for you based on your investment objectives ever if you wanted to take some profit, because honestly, that always makes sense. Maybe you want to sell some and try to buy it lower if and when it goes there. I'm just saying that I'm not going to apply that strategy. Whether they gap this thing up or down on earnings, nothing has fundamentally changed for me on this stock. And you could see it's gapped up beautifully on earnings. So those are my thoughts on sale. We were talking about, we're going to talk about the Netflix bottom using ... really? So we're going to talk about using a Netflix bottom here and how we did it today. So basically on Netflix, this is what happened. So we were talking the other day about a simple pivot point bounce. And when does this usually work? And I give you guys the stupidest and simplest parameters. I know it's stupid and easy, and the truth is this hasn't worked in every single market condition. There's a weird statistical anomaly that has been working in the current news and earnings season. It's basically been working since 2018. I don't know when it stops working. But basically, when I see things working in the current market condition, I exploit it. So I gave you guys the simplest parameters. Stock has positive earnings or news. So Netflix got upgraded today. That was the positive news on Netflix. And if you're part of the Newsbeat room, you obviously got this in the pre-market. You had a $319 target from 281 at Piper Jaffray, big $300+ price target upgrade for the stock, and it was looking good. 2, the stock pulls lower. 3, the market isn't crashing at the time. 4, you have a great risk reward and it's easy to spot. So let's look at a 5-minute of Netflix. Could have you used that simple pivot point to call a bottom in Netflix today and make an easy trade, an easy, money trade? As one person quoted in the room, it's so easy to scalp off Mark's calls. It's just like a money-making machine. So check this out. Netflix, positive earnings, positive news with the $319 target, right? Don't worry about all my lines here. Just focus on this pivot point, which is a free thing to put in. You literally could go to free stock charts and just hit plus, and you just literally scroll down, and right here is something called pivot points, and you could just literally click it, and it'll appear on your screen. Now, I don't know. This thing has been working since 2018. So stock shoots up to 284.70. I missed the whole move. I don't buy it. Pulls down a little. I don't buy it. Pulls down a little. Don't buy it. Pops. Don't chase it. Pulls down here. I ignore it. Bang. Hits the pivot point. $280.32. It gives you actually a little bit of a blessing. It actually blips in and goes down to $280.01. And literally 10 minutes later, we're not talking about a long-term swing in Netflix. 10 minutes later, the stock went from $280 to $283.70. The option calls went through the ceiling. You could have traded stock. I'm not saying you make $3.70. The truth is, I don't even care if you made 50, 60 cents, or a dollar, or $1.50, or $2, or $3, or $3.50. It's really irrelevant. The point of this strategy is to put you in a positive risk reward where you can scalp and make money with high consistency on the intraday basis. So this is just one of the examples I'm giving. Again, sorry for the raspiness of my voice. I have a really good thing for you guys right now. I'm going to share with you guys a story. And this is a story of he used to work in restaurants and he actually became a hedge fund trader. He was somebody I mentored, and he's very successful today. I gave him a private mentorship some years ago. Extremely successful trader today. So we're going to talk about, clearing your mind for tomorrow. And I'm just going to share a story with a friend of mine. I won't give you his last name. No need. I mean, his name's Jack. So the beautiful thing about Jack is I grew up with him in Brooklyn. We lived in a very crummy neighborhood called Starrett City. It was the type of neighborhood in which you could go outside and you'd find needles in the grass. I was 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, playing outside. You'd find needles in the grass, little, what I know today, little dime bags. Some of them had powder substance. Some of them, had little, I guess marijuana leaves. At the time, I just knew not to touch them. And I'm basically taking you back. Jack and I went to the same school in Starrett City. We've known each other. We moved apart. My parents moved out to Staten Island. He stayed in Brooklyn. And I wanted to share a story because I thought it was very interesting. So basically, Jack is the kind of guy that you love to hate. He's always in a good mood and had something positive to say. When somebody, would come to him, like one of our friends, or I would ask him, Jack, hey, what's up? How you doing? He would be like, if I were any better, I'd be twins. So I was like, ha ha ha. So Jack was running the restaurant industry. He worked at a upscale place in Manhattan, upscale restaurant that's SAG rated. And the waiters always followed him around because of his attitude. He was a manager. And he was really a natural motivator. If one of the waiters or employees were having a bad day, Jack was pretty much right there telling the employee how to look at the positive side of the situation, something that you've obviously seen me try to do. So seeing this really made me curious. So one day I asked him, I'm like, yo, Jack, I don't get it. How do you remain positive all the time? How do you do it? Because I was a trader and I went through my positive and my negative swings. Like, how do you do it? So Jack basically said, every time I wake up in the morning, I ask myself, I say to myself, I have two choices today. I can choose to be in a good mood or a bad mood. I choose to be in a good mood. Each time something bad happens, I can choose to be a victim or I can choose to learn from it. If I choose to learn from it, I grow myself. So every time someone comes to me complaining, I can choose to accept their complaining or I can point out to the positive side of life. I choose the positive side of life. So me as a trader, I'm like, yeah, but that's not really easy for me to do. He's like, he said, it really is, Mark. He said, life is really all about the choices. And he basically told me, when you cut away all the garbage or the junk, every situation is a choice. You choose how you react to situations. You choose how people will affect your mood. You choose how to be in a good mood or a bad mood. The bottom line, it's your choice how to live your life. So, what you don't know about Jack is what I'm going to tell you is after we lost touch for many years, he basically he was in Manhattan. I mean, it's in the paper. I guess you could find the restaurant if you want to look it up, but I don't really want to drop it and intrude on what he's doing. But basically, he did something you're never supposed to do in the restaurant business. He left the back door open, and he pretty much was held up at gunpoint. by three armed robbers. He went ahead and he opened the safe, and the robbers shot him anyway. I guess maybe he ID'd one, I don't know. So he was shot. He was shot like an inch and a half away from his heart. It damaged his left lung. It damaged his left lung, and he was found relatively quickly, and he was really, rushed to the local trauma center, Mount Sinai Hospital, Manhattan. So after 18 hours of surgery and basically weeks and weeks of intensive care, Jack was finally released with fragments of the bullet still in his body. So I met up with Jack later, 6, 7, 8, 9 months later, after that incident, and we haven't met in a while. And I asked him how he was, and he said the same thing to me as he did when we were kids. He said, if I were any better, I'd be twins. And I almost crapped myself there. I couldn't help but laugh. And he's like, you want to see my scars? And I'm like, no, thank you. Don't need to see that. But I did ask him, I'm like, Jack, so what was going through your mind when you were being robbed? And he said the first thing going through my mind was that I should have locked the back door. He's always a comedian, so I laughed. And then he's like, then as he was laying on the floor, he remembered he had two choices. He could choose to live or he could choose to die after he was shot. So I obviously asked him, were you scared? Did you lose consciousness? Jack said the paramedics were great. They kept telling me I was going to be fine. But when they wheeled me into the emergency room and I saw the expression on the faces of the doctors and nurses, I got really scared. In their eyes, he felt that they were thinking that he was a dead man, and he knew he needed to take action. I'm like, what kind of action did you take? You're lying on a hospital bed, man, and you have a bullet hole in you. He said there was this big burly nurse shouting questions at him. She asked him basically if he was allergic to anything. He said yes. The doctors and nurses stopped working as they waited for his reply. He took a deep breath and yelled, "Bullets!" And of course, even with a bullet wound in him, he manages to make everyone laugh. And over their laughter, I told them, basically, I am choosing to live. Operate on me as if I am alive, not dead. And he still stays in touch with the doctors that saved his life that day. So Jack ended up living, he's a hedge fund trader today, thanks to the skill of his doctors. But let's also not forget, it was because really of his amazing attitude. I learned from him a lot of the things I carry today into the Newsbeat live room. Is I learned from him that every day we have the choice to live fully and to trade fully and to keep a good attitude through it all. Because after all, our attitude and how we approach things is really everything in our story. So that was my little story there. I hope you guys really understand it. I mean, guys like that are like gold. I mean, guys like that are the ones that will make you laugh when, they have a bullet, lodged inside their chest. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. And now we're going to share our game plan and our Forex trades. Whoops. Where is that? There it is. Giving you two simple names, just names that have pretty bullish charts here on the daily. The first one right here is Anthera. Just a beautiful breakout name, just giving a very simple trigger. Maybe we get a follow through. Looks decent. And the next one I'm going to give you guys is Tandem Diabetes Care. Just a little breakout here through the descending resistance line. Looks decent to me as well. Sorry for the ghetto-ness of my orders. You might notice that one of my orders has 7 standard lots here. If you're a member of the room, you obviously get this in your email. You don't have to print screen it. But these are my live Forex trades that I put in. You might notice that this is 7 standard lots. So when you multiply that number by 15, it's literally the first time I have a trade that's over 100 standard lots large, which is $10 million. So I guess if you're asking if I have more conviction in that one, I just think it's the greatest risk reward here. is the best way I could put it. But you get to copy these trades. You get the buy, the symbol, the price I'm bidding at or offering it at. In this case, it's all buys. SL equals stop loss and TP equals take profit. So, of course, now we're going to go into our full stock analysis where I break down every single stock, give you my thoughts on everything. But of course, for that, you have to be a member of the Newsbeat Live Room. At the Newsbeat Live Room, we thrive on the success of our traders. We thrive on making the world a better place. We thrive on giving money to charities. We thrive on making money for ourselves. So we have the ability to give money to other charities. We here at Newsbeat Live, we are the fastest growing trading room in the nation. Happy trading, make money, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the Newsbeat Live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful evening.